Hello guys. So I told you I was going to talk a little bit about the whole binging and making, Emily had made a comment about, don't get mad if I don't stick to this 100%. Honey, that is not going to happen. That is exactly what I want you to do. We start off with this program to give us an idea what to go off of for nutrition, because a lot of the time our bodies are either malnourished and we don't know it because we're not getting in the correct amount of vegetables and fruit. We're just eating a lot of carbs, high fatty foods like deep fried foods and high sugar foods because it's hidden in so many of our foods. And so we're kind of doing this to learn how to get our body eating the proper amount that technically your body needs to be fueled. So after your body gets regulated with the amount that you should have, we're going to move more into the intuitive eating side. And that is because I don't want you guys to have a nasty relationship with food. And it happens so often because of the way our diet culture has been presented to us. It is, starting to affect us younger and younger. I know there's kids in elementary now that are like worried about this. If you sit down and look at the kids in grade 6 when they're going into junior high, they have distorted body image because of what we have been putting out in the past generations. Okay, so our goal is not to use these containers for life. It is to start us off to get our bodies regulated to the amount of food that we technically should have. And then we're going to drop them. You can have them if you need to kind of bring them back to learn, to reteach yourself after a while. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't, right? If I feel like today I decided that I would try them out to see how my portions are. My portions were bang on. I don't need to use those containers all the time. But that doesn't mean if you're full from those later on, then you don't eat them. But for the first little bit while your body's getting used to them, you're probably going to feel full. And I want you to eat as much as you can, but I don't want you to feel sick when you're done eating. Maybe save that other half of your container for a little bit later, but do try to get them in for at least the first 30 days. And then after that, you guys can get rid of them, and I want you to listen to your body, but I still want you to take your body in consideration, okay? Now, if any of you are on Plan A, I want you guys to bump it up one. Plan A to me is borderline starvation. I feel like that it hits that 1,200 calorie mark that everyone wants us to hit, and it's just not sustainable. That is not okay for my mind. So if you're in Plan A, I suggest bumping it up if you have a bad relationship with food, okay? So I want you guys to understand that your body is going to fluctuate in weight. There is I get a 5 to 10 pound difference throughout the year of what my body goes through when I'm eating at a decent mindset level. And it's going to change with what's going on in your life, but you're going to bounce back and forth. It's normal. I don't want you to think every time you gain 5 to 10 pounds, you need to bounce on a diet. You're probably going to lose that when you're, in the busy season of your life, when you're not, don't have time to think about if you're hungry or not. And so you're going to end up losing the weight. And there's been months where you're a little bit slower, so you're going to gain a little weight. That is normal. It's our body's normal response to gain the weight, lose the weight when we're doing these things, okay? But I don't want you to think diet's the option for it at all. That is, just don't go for the diet for that reason, okay? So the kind of what the diet triangle is you have your triangle. Obviously, I'm going to make it probably look really weird because I use my hands so much. So we feel like we need to start this diet because if we gain those 10 pounds that really probably our body needs to gain at that time, right? So we start it, and then we start restricting. And this is when we're going down and we're restricting. Then we start seeing the foods everywhere at work. We're seeing them on TV. We're seeing them on posters and on the radio. We're listening to them. We're seeing them and listening, and they're everywhere. So then when you restrict and tell yourself you can't have them, because these diets always tell you to get rid of a food group. They're telling you to deplete something. That is not okay. It's not normal. So your body, when it thinks it can't have it, this, probably goes back a little ways in our history. You feel the need to binge and eat while you can and get it all in, right? But then you start feeling like crap. And then the self-doubt comes in, that your willpower sucks, that you You can't do it. You're not good enough to do it, and you do not deserve to be at that. You don't deserve to lose the weight. That is not at all. But then you go back and you start that cycle again. You guys have all said it. You've done the multiple different diets, and that's the reason they're not working, because they're not sustainable for your lifestyle. Okay. Sorry, I just gotta check my notes real quick. This will be no longer hard for you. So I talked about switching from plan A to plan B. This is why I want you guys to switch to plan B, because I don't want you to be stuck in that restrictive cycle. Because that will happen, because that's plan A isn't a lot of certain kinds of foods. I started with plan A, but now I'm on plan B because, plan A, I found myself hungry multiple times throughout the day, and I've had just as good results with plan B than I have with plan A. I've actually had better results with plan B than I did plan A. So don't think that just because it's up one that it's gonna make things worse for you, because that's not the case. Your body really needs those nutrients. Okay. So go back to the triangle a little bit. When you in that triangle, it's not only seeing all the restricting and the binging, the restricting that makes you binge. If you had a bad day and you eat the comfort food, you feel the need to get the comfort food, but then you kind of get stuck in the mindset that, oh, I've already ate once, I can keep eating, just keep feeding your emotions, right? That's not okay, because you just binge, right? And then you stop doing the results, you stop working to it. What you really should be doing is, okay, I ate it, I had it, and that's totally okay. It was my comfort food. It was okay to eat. But now I'm going to carry on with my life like it never happened. Like, not that it never happened, but like, it's not affecting it. If you know what I mean? Just keep moving on with your day. Keep moving on with the next day. You don't have to start next Monday if you already messed up on a Wednesday. There is no messing up with this when we're doing it, okay? If you eat something, I want you to share, and I want you to be proud that you ate it and aren't feeling guilty, okay? So I wanted to share a couple of things that I had learned, actually, which was insane to learn about, okay? There was a study done on soldiers, okay? No, it was on regular people. It was for the soldiers, and it was done by the government in the 1940s. It was to see what kind of diet they could give them at the least amount of food they give them, that they still performed well and were good enough to fight in the country, right? So they found 400 normal, healthy men, and they put them on a 1,600 calorie diet. Now, we talked about that the diet culture puts in 1,200, and this is 16, so keep that in mind, okay? These men were completely healthy. They had no food issues. They were just healthy men, and they just signed up for it, okay? Borderline. So, sorry, I'm losing my track. Okay, so they did this. So the first week, some of the symptoms people started kind of talking about was tired, dizziness, sluggishness, brain fog, and trouble sleeping. How many of you guys struggle with these? Because I know I have. And some days I do when I don't eat enough. So they carried on to week 2, though. And some of the things that they were dealing with is, the main thing was that they were just so fixated on food. They were collecting recipes, cookbooks. They were planning for when they were done this study, what they could eat. Food was literally consuming them because they were restricted. They were put on a certain diet of what they could eat. One guy actually said that he couldn't wait to be done. Not because he felt that he was physically ill because of the lack of food. He felt like that was fine. It was because he was hungry, but it was because the study made food so important in his life. Okay, I'll have a topic on that here in a second too. They carried on with the study, and by the end of the study, some of the things they were feeling from the study were that the men were feeling inadequate. They were moody, irritable, tired, loss of ambition, they were overweight, their disordered body image, and emotional and depression. Okay? And we all do this to ourselves. we put ourselves in that 1200 calorie bracket because that is what they tell us to do to get to the goal we have in mind. And, you know, right now, this study isn't allowed to be done. It's not allowed to be done again because the American Psychological Association would deem it unethical inconvenience to the subjects. And we do it all the time, guys. It baffles me now that I've seen it. Like, the more I look into this, it blows my mind that this goes on and it's actually deemed unethical. And they were at 1600 and we're looking at the 1200 bracket. It doesn't make sense. So the topic I wanted to cover was I actually had a friend who said to me one day,